Welcome to the Eye on Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Furnished, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
Well, we rolled down here to Eastport to talk to Patti Slaughter, who is the founder, executive director, and everything else of a wonderful organization in the county called the Bernie House that some people may or may not know about, but definitely should know about. And thank you very much for inviting me into your beautiful home on a nice, cold winter day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, first things first, okay, the website is theberniehouse.org, and it's BERNIE. And in the most basic sense, what is it?
It's a transitional housing for families fleeing domestic violence, and it's dedicated in memory of my father, Bernie.
Okay.
And, you know, in my early 20s up to my early 40s, I worked with him for another nonprofit organization, and we traveled all over Africa and as far as Bangladesh, and building hospitals, clinics, irrigation systems, schools. And when he passed away, I knew that something that bothered him were children that were abused and neglected. So in volunteering around, I've had an experience with a victim of domestic violence. I was a court companion, and we were waiting outside for her abuser that was going to be arraigned. The arraignment. And she hadn't seen him since the whole altercation day. So she was terrified. She got so sick, we had to call 911. It was vomiting, and it was severe. And at that point, that was the moment as to where the missing link was for victims of domestic violence, because once they get into a shelter, the shelters focus on the immediate needs, which is greatly needed.
Sure.
But then what happens afterwards? And lots of times they wind up going back to their abuser because of the financial situation. So we allow them to stay for 2 years at the Bernie House. And while they're there, they receive one-on-one case management and counseling weekly. I'm working in the backgrounds, also the woman that's in the house right now. We helped her earn her GED. We helped her with her credit. Her credit was in the 400s. Now it's in the 7s.
That's awesome.
And of course, she's allowed to stay for 2 years. And during the 2 years, they have to pay a program fee. And that's according to their income. And then at the end of the 2 years, when they successfully complete the program, they receive all those monies back, and they're allowed to take the entire contents of the house. So that gives them a great foundation to move on.
Into an apartment or wherever they can. That's, and that's one thing that people don't realize. I mean, you talk about abuse, a spousal abuse, and whether that be a female on a male or a male on a female, depending. But one thing that people really neglect to realize too is that you've got that whole financial abuse too. And a lot of times you've got one spouse that is, or a partner that is reliant on the other, and that money is used as a wedge. And that's got to be huge to have to not worry about a couch or anything like that. Now, how many families are in the Bernie House?
Well, we provide a genuine family environment. So there is one family at a time in the houses that we have.
How many houses?
We have 2.
You guys just purchase them or purchasing them? Or
the organization did.
Right.
I went before the Appropriations Committee in 2018, which helped me get the first home in Anne Arundel County. And I'm getting ready. I'm preparing to submit and go for the LBI this year. And hopefully I will get granted some more, and I'll get our third home, which will be the second in Anne Arundel County.
It all starts with one person. One person taking an interest in another person. And we can do so much good with that. So this is... somebody is coming out of pardon the language, but a shitty situation. They're coming into a home that's theirs. It's not, and I don't want to diss on the Lighthouse by any means, but I mean, it's not like you're coming into a dormitory atmosphere. This is your temporary home for 2 years. Sort of like being elected governor, I guess, only.
Well, this is like, here's your fresh start. Here's your opportunity. The Bernie House and the people that are with you are in your corner, and we're going to help you see the best that you can be.
And how long have you started this for?
I've been doing this for 25 years.
Oh, my word. Mm-hmm. So it's been around forever now. And I know that you, because they are considered, I would presume, to a degree, safe houses.
To a degree.
And I mean, I know that the YWCA is going through a bit of a thing with the Capitol right now because they published names and pictures and stuff like that.
A horrible thing to do.
Are they all in Anne Arundel County?
One's in Montgomery County.
Okay.
And one is in Anne Arundel County.
Okay.
And the one in Montgomery County, we just received a nice grant from a small foundation, and we did an entire renovation because that house had seen probably up to 17 little feet running around in it. And, the mothers, and the house has taken a beating after 25 years. So
we tend to sit there and think that it's a woman who is abused with children, but it can go either way. But I mean, how do you get in touch with the folks that are living in the homes? Or how do they get in touch with you?
I work with the local shelters. So I work with the Betty Ann Cranky Center in Montgomery County, and I work with the YWCA. Because, it does take 7 times for a victim to finally leave.
Excuse me?
7 times for a victim to finally leave.
So if I am a victim, I have been on the verge of or being hit, abused, whatever it may have been, 7 times before I finally had enough?
Back and forth, and it could be like 7 times that you've left. Who knows what you tolerated before you actually left to the shelters.
Oh, my word.
And it's the shelters that, they're working with their clients, and they know the type of people that will survive and excel in the Bernie house. Because you really have to be prepared to live on your own. And you really have to be prepared to knuckle down. I started this by doing wine tastings in my backyard, and the silent auction was on my dining room table. So when I sit down, when interviewing the clients, I'm flat out say, I have a lot of skin in the game, and you're expected to.
That again is so important in any number of things, is to have a little bit of skin in the game. And you said that they get refunded on their program costs. Mm-hmm. So they're living rent-free, mm-hmm. But they're contributing to a program. Mm-hmm. I'm presuming they have to be out looking or have a job. They've got to provide, you're not providing food or, anything like that. Utilities included, or is that?
No, normally when they come from shelters, they're already in programs. So they probably are already on the SNAP program, emergency money that they might need. So they've set them up. Mm-hmm. So when they come to the Bernie house, we sit down, and the first thing is goals. What do you need to do, and what do we need to obtain those goals? And most of the time it's getting the GED. And so because it's a family environment, and like you said, a lot of these women come in and they have never had any opportunity to budget or even have bank accounts. So they're learning all these things, and we're teaching them the value of credit. And then we're just helping them. Like there was a local women's group, the Leading Ladies, that approached me, and the woman in the Bernie house wanted to start her own business. She wanted to be a dog groomer. So this group of women pulled together and paid for her certification, paid for the dog grooming bed, and it's just fantastic. And while she was doing all that and working and raising 2 children, she was also taking the classes for the first-time home buyers. And once you receive the certificate from that class, you are entitled to up to, I could be wrong, but up to $40,000 no interest loan.
Oh, wow.
For first-time home buyers.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I one thing that I see is that there are so many programs that are out here. Again, the Bernie House being one of them. You mentioned about some of the other ones. The YWCA has different things. That we're so fortunate to live in a state and an area and a county that has them. And you've just got to look for them. I know people read about sending your kids to college if they want to go to college. And there's plenty of resources at MHEC, and there's, you just have to look for them and ask for them. You look at in Anne Arundel County, if I am homesick with a broken leg and can't drive, I can call and I can have a bus come to pick me to take me to a doctor's appointment or to shopping or something like that. And really, if you ask around, you'll find that there are so many great people in this area and so many different organizations that can do such wonderful work. I mean, what's the story coming out of what are the success stories coming out of the Bernie House? I mean, every single one I imagine has to be.
Yes.
Because you've taken somebody from the low point of their life, and there's no other way to go but up.
Yeah, we have an 80% success rate, and I believe
What defines success?
To find success is their education, to be financially stable, and to find housing, and hopefully your mental health, and so success is to be able to move back into the community safely and financially sound.
Do most of them stay in the area?
No.
Most of your graduates?
No.
I mean, I would think they would not, just because, I mean, I'm in this area and I am a victim of abuse or whatever it may be, that, okay, this is great for 2 years. Now, for whatever reason, I want to go someplace else where they may not know my name.
Correct. But I believe that the way the Bernie House is set up, because they're townhouses, and it looks like a mom and their children are renting the house. So the community there doesn't know anything, doesn't know the better. And here the kids get to, hop off the school bus and go home instead of to an institution. And, little kids deserve that kind of stuff. Normality. Yeah.
Everybody deserves a home.
Yeah.
They really
especially
do.
Little kids, to be safe.
That's one of the key things to one of the problems that we have in our society, I think, is that you've got some parents that don't take that vested interest in the kids, and the kids don't feel safe. And that's, I think, it's a root cause of some of the problems that we see, both, in violence and drugs, and
absolutely.
When you see the incarceration levels and stuff like that, I think I've always said that if parents could just take not too much more, but just a little bit more interest in, who the kid's hanging out with, what they're doing in school, what they're doing, for fun entertainment.
Yeah.
It would do a lot of work. Well, you said that as somebody leaves the Bernie House, they take everything with them. And I'm assuming that's the furniture and the
towels, the curtains, the
dishes.
forks, everything. Because the house is completely furnished, and all those items are donated by the community. Like you said, there's so many great people out there and organizations. There are a lot of great people behind the Bernie House making it work. Great group of strong force of volunteers. And then the successes, when they move on, and if they choose to stay in touch, I stay in touch with them, and sometimes help them at Christmas time with the gifts for the children. And we've had women move on that now have their own businesses. We've had women move on with their children that have now earned full scholarships and are at university, and the first child in their family to go to college. We've had, right now we're working with an incredible success story, because the family that will be moving out of the Anne Arundel County House, she is in contract and will be purchasing a home. And she will be the first person in her family to own a home. So if you look at that, about 2.5 years ago, she was homeless with 2 children and didn't have a high school education. And so I just believe that, if just given the chance, just given the opportunity, that these survivors can really make it and can conquer, anything they put their minds to. They've been just beaten down so much, they have no idea what they're capable of. And to me, it's just.
How many tears do you shed over this?
Probably countless. But these are tears of joy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see a family move out, knowing that this is something that you started your idea, and not an ego type of a thing at all.
No.
But you've been able to, as a human, being another human to somebody else, to give them the leg up. Haven't guaranteed success. You haven't, it's a lot more than just writing a check.
Right. And it's like we're making life-changing impacts. I mean, we're not Band-Aids here. It's life-changing for these families.
How big is the organization?
Small. The organization.
Am I looking at it?
Yes.
I mean, are there any employees of the Bernie House? I mean, I imagine there's not a whole lot to do during the 2 years.
Correct. It's the therapy, the case management, and that's hired. And just hired an assistant. I call her my leap of faith because I'm preparing to expand the program even further. I mean, our success rate is so great, and I just see all these beautiful things that happen that we need more. We need more homes.
We really do. How do you fund all this? Okay, obviously you can go out for grants and you can look for some public money, and I'm assuming you're nonprofit, so you can take donations. Mm-hmm. Again, theberniehouse.org would be where you'd want to go to probably start to do that.
Yes.
I mean, what do you rely on funding? I mean, buying houses and furnishing them every 2 years has got to be expensive, and obviously I know you said that you had so many people that donate, but there are costs involved in that, but I mean, it's a huge return on your investment when they walk away with a full house of.
Yes. When I first started, I had the grand idea of going after grants and things like that. But at that point, I was selling a dream. It's something that I wanted to do to help others in memory of my father. So that grant doors were shut in my face quite a bit. So I rely heavily on the local community and on their donations. I rely heavily on the success of our events that we have. And now recent, when I paid off the house, the first house, and it was within 13 years, the house was paid for. And, it was like, so now what? And I sat back and I was like, well, you've got testimony. You've got a great success rate, and you've got history, and you can prove all that. And that's when I started going after grants.
The grants that they fell there. You talked about events. Mm-hmm. Now, a little bit of a disclosure here. You are the premier of the Maritime Republic of Eastport, so therefore you know how to throw a party. Does the Bernie House have events?
Yes, we do. We have one event that's coming up right now is February 25th at the Annapolis Waterfront Hotel, and it's a Mardi Gras ball.
Double fancy.
Yeah. So we have face painters and tarot card readers, and it's an open bar. We'll have a 7-piece band with a lot of brass. I've been to a lot of fundraisers, and I've held a lot of fundraisers, and I have never seen this type of fundraiser be so fun. I've seen the dance floor. It's been so crowded that people are out dancing on the carpet. And I'm like, people are having a good time. And when you have people come up to you and go, I can't wait. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to wear. And,
right.
That's kind of exciting instead of when I walk into a place and people look at me going, oh, no, she's going to ask for money or something else.
Right.
So
and
so
you
it's a good time.
I mean, you pay to go. And I'm sure there's probably going to be some auctions and stuff like that.
Absolutely. We have silent auction.
But I can't think of too many better reasons to go than to be able to give these folks the leg up and the jump start on reliving their lives that the Bernie House gives. So we've got a band, we've got an open bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's 95% of it right there.
Good time. People come in gowns and tuxedos or suits and cocktail dresses. People dress wild like they're in New Orleans. It's everything. And our age group truly is great. It's from your early 40s, sometimes 30s, all the way up into the 70s. So it's a great vibe. Everybody's there, everybody's having a good time, and everybody knows that we're doing a good thing.
I will say Annapolis generally throws some pretty good parties, and we do have a really eclectic mix of residents in the area that for some unknown reason to me, get along, for the most part, pretty well. I remember when the Ebb Tide was open, rest in peace. It was funny. I said, you can go in there and you could see white collar, blue collar, and no collar. And somehow we coexisted, and it was a beautiful thing. So this is February 25th at the Annapolis Waterfront Hotel.
Yes.
And what's the time at?
Well, we have VIP, and that's for our big sponsors, and that starts at 5:30, and then the actual event starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So, figure out what you want to wear and come on.
Recommended colors would be purple, gold, and green, I believe, right?
Anything you want.
That's anything you want.
Yes.
What is your background as far as, do you have a background in social work or in counseling, or I know you mentioned that you traveled, the world with your father, and was he in the medical field or
Actually, my father was an accountant.
Okay.
And in my career, I was a project manager. So we weren't really hands-on, but we worked with missionaries that were in the field in developing countries or third world countries. And what I did is we would receive the proposals, we would read the proposals, and then I'd fly to the various countries, check out. And if there truly was a need, come back, present the information to the board, and then allocate half of the money, and then I'd fly back and see, and then the last half gets. So, but actually, like what I said when in the beginning I was just selling a dream, no, I don't have an education whatsoever in this field. It's a school of hard knocks. I've had some college, and so really I just came with a pure heart and wanting to, do something for someone else, and here it is.
It's worked great for 25 years.
Yeah.
Thank you for establishing it. Thank you for, what you're doing. Congratulations on it's up to be third house.
Thank you.
TheBernieHouse.org, TheBernieHouse.org. It's the website where you want to go. I'm sure you've got all the social media stuff as well. We're going to put all the links in the show notes and everything else. Please support this in any number of ways. I mean, you can support with just making it an outright donation. You mentioned that all the furniture and furnishings for a home every 2 years.
Yes, every 2 years. I get lots of calls. People are ready to donate the furniture, and I have no warehouse or no storage, so I can't accept them. So unfortunately, I have to let it go. But
okay, but if the timing is right,
if the timing's right, yeah, we'll snag it right up.
But yeah, there's plenty of ways to support that. There, one of the easiest ones is just to tell your friends about it. Let them know that it's here. If you know somebody that's in a situation that needs to get out of the situation, get in touch with the Bernie House. It's going to be able. They may not have a house available immediately, but certainly I would think that Patti would have the resources to be able to get you help immediately, which is half of the battle of getting out of it is just realizing that you need help, asking for it, and not being ashamed to do that, because we all do need a leg up at one point in time in our lives. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.